Alright, in this video I'll be going through the levels in my game. So obviously you can see down here there's developer level, which is this one, level 1, which is my main level, main menu scene, and my tutorial. So I'll start on the main menu, play from here. There's obviously the same functionality as the last video. If we press tutorial, I can go through the tutorial in this video, and then after I've played through the levels, I'll fly over and showcase my thought process. So these are just some tips, like sprinting consumes stamina. You can vault over objects, traverse them. It teaches you how to dodge and things like that. Starts off pretty simple, crouching, and I tried to build the world, build the tutorial into the world I'm trying to convey. So these are meant to be like knocked over buildings and you have to crouch under them, which I thought was pretty cool. And this would be like a gap in the wall that you have to go through, and just the entire tutorial is meant to be like a street of buildings basically. So yeah, you can sprint and traverse. Oh, and another mechanic that I forgot to mention in the last video was sprinting and stamina. So if I just sprint back and forward here, just wait for it to go out. So an audio cue plays when you're about to run out, and then you start running slower. You can't sprint until it fills back up again. That's just an Easter egg. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And that's another thing that I fixed, which was kind of a problem with the game animation sample. When you're sprinting and you turn sharply, it kind of like floats and drifts. So that's another thing that I fixed, along with like foot placement. But then you jump up here, go across here. I did originally have this as the end of the tutorial, but then I added like door mechanics and things like that, so I had to expand it. So you can go through here. You don't really need a flashlight, but I tried to make this room dark, but I couldn't really make it dark with this. So you know, you come up here, this is the end of the tutorial. I think it's a pretty neat design. I've tried to make this part make sense with these like supports, just so it doesn't seem unrealistic. Congratulations, you have completed the tutorial. And then you swallow this, plays a sound, and then it's like you wake up, it plays a gasp sound kind of thing. So next we can go into the main level, which is where I've done all the level design. So we'll start here. This is a prison. So ideally there would be zombies chasing you, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. So this part is a gym, and these sections here, at the minute they are safe from zombies. So you can go in here and just stay away from the zombies for a little bit. You can't get into these bits, but there is one of these buildings that has like a gap, which I'll show. You can go here, and if you're being chased, you're going into a dead end, so I added this, just so the player can jump over and not get trapped in a dead end. This is like a demonstration of where some max stamina pickups would be. And these sections, just so you don't get trapped inside, or you can actually get into them, I added like holes in the wall that you can either crouch or roll under, or you can dodge through this one. So just making use of the mechanics that I made. And then I think, yeah, so these are the cell block buildings. And I think this one, no, one of them has a gap in it. It's this one, yeah. So just making use of the level to implement things, so you can again dodge through here. You know, I used blocking out for things like this to further immerse the level, make it more realistic. And then there's more cell blocks. Is this the same part? No, so again, because this is a dead end, I added a hole here. And then these holes in the wall here, that's where I'd add like a door asset there, but they aren't enterable. But there is one that is, which I'll show in a minute. Also these, it's lagging a little bit, but these things here are to help the player, like give more options for them to get out of this area, so they can jump up here. And there's these stairs as well, which gives them more options to get into them areas. You can vault over it like that, which is pretty cool. Alright, we'll go to the tower now. I was thinking about making this enterable as well, which could be cool. Let me just restart the level because it's lagging a bit. Could have saved the game there, but I might as well restart. Alright, so I'll go to the tower now. So you start at that end, and if I remember, I'm pretty sure that's the one you can get in. Yeah, it is. So I made it the furthest one away so that the zombies would have to chase you a little bit before, well, theoretically they'd have to chase you a bit before you got to this bit, because this is like where the end of the game would be. You'd go into this building to trigger the ending, basically. So you'd go up here, and at the bottom, I haven't added it yet, but there would be a door using the door mechanics that I made, where you can open and close it so the zombies won't get in. I made this design, you can't jump over these bits. You kinda can, but you can't vault over them. So I think the design's pretty cool. I used booleans to cut all this out. I think it looks pretty cool. And then theoretically, again, the ending would be triggered here. There'd be a table with a radio on top, and that's one of my planned endings that I was going to do. Yeah, here's a little overview of the prison. Looks pretty cool. And now we can just fly around and see what it's about. Gym 2, Cafe 2, Cafe 1, Gym 1. All these buildings are enterable, and I added these two as extras just to make more sense of the prison, because obviously if it's a prison, these 4 cell blocks alone aren't going to hold enough. So I just did that to make a little bit more sense of it, and I think it added a bit more uniqueness to the level, how you can jump over these bits. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm proud of the design I did with this, with the spiral stairs and everything. And then that's the prison. Now we've got the road, and this road leads to an army camp. So let's just play it from here. Oh. So now we have the army camp. These are example explosive barrel places. So the idea behind these is similar to Days Gone. The idea with these is you can run away from the zombies. They're all chasing you, shoot the barrel, it blows loads of them up. And there's a few of them around. There's one there, one there, one there, another one there. And it just gives a bit more help to the player. These parts are dangerous because you can't. So if you were being chased by zombies here, it's a dead end. These are like a container, like a cargo thing. So you can't jump up. Same with these fences, you can't jump, which is another thing I worked into the levels. Like I use these fences, these exact same fences for the prison as well. You can't jump over them because I made the movement specific to this game, so I knew you couldn't jump over objects above 3 meters tall. But these you can jump. So obviously you can jump above them. These are supposed to be tents. They look a bit blocky, but it doesn't matter. But I use booleans to cut these out. Obviously these are all cubes before. You can run around them, avoid the zombies. Obviously there's some threat here as well, because if they all rush in, they could go in loads of different routes. So one could go this way, come through there. You could be running through this way, away from them, but then another group of zombies come this way. So you know, it could be dangerous like that way. So that's the army camp. Just have a quick fly over it, just to look at the layout. I think I've made them, like the prison and the camp, pretty accurate to my original designs, so I'm quite proud of that. But anyway, these are the buildings. They're not fully decorated yet, but they're just placeholder. So they've got the door cutouts. This one's got some stairs, and my idea is to build the stairs up, maybe have a rooftop that you can get on top, and then some floors in between. Because my idea for this game is basically just Days Gone without the bike. So you're just exploring the island and discovering places while also avoiding the zombies. And I think it's just a pretty fun concept. And I think Days Gone did it really well. And I'm trying to take as much from Days Gone as I can and put it into this game. And I'm trying to add the atmosphere of like The Last of Us 2, which obviously isn't there yet because it's just blockouts. But I think for the actual blockouts, I'm really proud with how it's turned out. There's more buildings here. I didn't do the interiors for them. And then for this, I used, I think it was a cylinder, and then I added purling noise to it using the modelling section thing. And then I placed them in like a decreasing size order and used booleans to cut them out, so it's like a quarry. You can jump down here and jump back out, but it's a bit buggy because of the purling noise. So what I'm planning on doing is adding like collisions all the way around, which would take a lot of time, but it'd just smooth the gameplay out a little bit more. So you can jump all the way down. And my idea is there'd be something collectible down here. Same with the buildings and other areas of the map. Just like things you can collect and pick up to make the playing easier. Just things you can pick up and collect to make the player more able, which would make fighting the zombies a little bit easier, you know, because you'd have like better weapons and things like that. But for the environment, I added some fog volumes. Like for here, there's one in the quarry to add a bit of depth to it, and for the overall level there's a much bigger one to just add general fog around the level, and it makes it more like immersive and ambient. and adds to the tone of the game a little bit more. That's the main level done. Overall, there's not much on the surface, but I'm proud of the way I integrated my mechanics into the level with the parkour and the holes in the walls and things like that. I'm proud of how it turned out. Back to the tutorial now. We'll go back to the start. So obviously it's progressive. There's simple hints like walking forward, running, sprinting, vaulting, traversing, and then the slightly more advanced mechanics and movements. And then it just basically leaves you to your own to use all of those hints in the level to traverse more complex environments. And then it teaches you how to do things like opening doors, flashlight, and then that's pretty much it. And then the last thing is like interacting. So I'm pretty happy with how the layouts turned out. And these walls are just invisible barriers, but I left them visible in the editor just to see obviously where they were. So if we go on game view, I'll go through the overall design. So on each side there's just rows of buildings that have collapsed and turned over and whatever. These are meant to be like barriers, like the ones you'd see on roads and things like that. These are meant to be walls, and then there's more walls with a gap in the middle. These are like fences. This effectively would be like the start of my level with the road in my original design, where it's like cutting off the island and it's trying to quarantine it. So I tried to build that into the design of the tutorial. But I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. And then obviously you've got this again, ends the tutorial, and it smoothly brings you back to the main menu. So that's going to be it. I'm happy with how it's turned out. But yeah, lastly, close game, and it works. So yeah, I'm happy with how it's turned out. But that's it. Bye.